Zara stood at the edge of the cell, her black armor shining under the cold blue lights of the alien warship. She was tall, strong, and silent. Her face showed no emotion. Her golden eyes stared at the human inside the cell like he was nothing more than an insect. But this human was different. His name was Eli. He was sitting on the floor, arms resting on his knees, looking tired but calm. His clothes were torn, his face had bruises, but his eyes were full of life. He didn't look scared. In fact, when he saw her, he smiled. Zara blinked. No prisoner had ever smiled at her before. Most cried. Some screamed. Others begged for their lives. But this human, he smiled like she was just a friend visiting for tea. She said nothing and turned to leave. Wait. Eli's voice was soft but clear. Are you the one who brought food last night? She paused. Slowly, she turned her head. Thank you, he said. It was warm. First warm thing in days. Zara didn't reply. She had no words for this kind of talk. Her training didn't include kindness. It included weapons, war, and control. She walked away, her boots clicking on the metal floor. That night, she watched the camera feed from his cell. Eli was humming a tune. It was soft, slow, and strange music. Humans made music. Why? She told herself she didn't care. He was the enemy. But she kept watching. The next day, she went to his cell again. This time, she brought him water. She slid it through the hole in the wall. Eli took the cup and smiled again. You have kind eyes, he said. Zara turned her face away. No one here talks, Eli continued. But you feel different. Are you really like them? Zara stepped closer, her voice low. Be silent, he chuckled. That's the first thing you've said to me. I'll treasure it, she narrowed her eyes. Do not mock me. I'm not mocking, he said. I'm trying to understand. You don't belong here, do you? Zara's hands tightened into fists. She hated this feeling, this confusion. She left again. In her room, she stared at the wall. Her thoughts wouldn't stop. That human smile, his voice, his eyes. Why did he look at her like that? She remembered her childhood. Cold nights. Harsh training. No laughter. No kindness. Her commander used to say, emotion is weakness. Kill it, but Eli didn't kill it. He fed it. He made it stronger. The next evening, she stood at his cell again. She didn't know why. Eli looked up. Back again? She didn't answer. He stood slowly and walked to the barrier. Can I ask you something? Zara stayed silent. Do you know what a sunset is? She frowned. What? A sunset, he said softly. It's when the sun goes down on Earth. The sky turns red and orange and gold. It's beautiful. Have you ever seen something beautiful? Zara didn't respond, then he said it softly. Like it was the truth. You're beautiful. Her breath caught. No one had ever said that to her before. Zara turned and left. Walking fast, her heart racing. Inside her chest, something strange was happening. Her heart, always calm and cold, was now loud, like it had woken up for the first time. What had he done to her? She stood alone in the hallway, hands shaking. The alien warrior, the fighter, the killer, now felt weak because of a single word. Beautiful. Was she? No, it was a trick, a game. Humans were clever liars. But deep inside her, a small part of her hoped it wasn't a lie. She closed her eyes for the first time in her life, the warrior's heart. Skipped a beat, Zara trained in silence. Her fists punched the metal wall again and again. Sweat rolled down her neck, but she didn't stop. She couldn't. Something inside her was broken, and she was trying to fix it the only way she knew. Hit, strike, break. But her hands were shaking. Her commander had noticed. You're off focus, he growled. Weakness is growing in you. Zara said nothing. She had faced beasts that tore men in half. She had stood in fire, crushed bones, and never blinked. She had no fear, but ever since that human said those words, you're beautiful, her heart did something strange. It beat louder, it felt alive. And it terrified her. In her room, she sat in the dark. No lights, no sounds. Just the memory of his voice. You have kind eyes. You feel different. You don't belong here. Why did his words stay in her mind? Why couldn't she forget? Zara stood and walked to the mirror. Her face was hard, scarred from battle. Her eyes were sharp like blades. She never cared how she looked before. But now she stared at her reflection, wondering, was she really beautiful? Or was he playing games? She growled softly and turned away. She needed answers. That night she went back to the prisoner's cell. Eli was sitting against the wall, whispering a song to himself. He looked up and smiled the moment he saw her. "I was hoping you'd come," he said. She didn't speak. "I missed our talks," he added. "We do not talk," she said coldly. "You speak." "I listen." He tilted his head. "Then let me speak again." Zara folded her arms. "Why do you say such things to me?" "Because they're true." "Lies," she said quickly. "No," Eli said. "You think they're lies because no one told you before. But I've seen your eyes. I've heard your silence. You're not like them." Zara looked away. "I don't understand you," she whispered. "Maybe you don't have to," he said. "Maybe you just have to feel." Her heart thudded again. Why did he always say things that made her chest feel full? A loud knock echoed from down the hallway. Zara quickly stepped back from the cell. A second guard was approaching. She left without a word. But as she walked away, Eli's voice followed her. "Thank you for not being cruel." Back in her quarters, she sat still for a long time. Zara remembered her childhood. No mother, no father. Only steel walls, harsh orders, and the echo of boots. She had been trained like a machine. Feelings were punished. Tears were crushed. So what was this now? Why did her hands feel warm? Why did her heart beat louder around him? She touched her chest. Her body felt heavy. The next day, her commander gave her a mission. "Prepare the human for transfer," he said. "He may not survive." Zara nodded, but inside, something twisted. She went to the cell, but this time, she didn't wear her helmet. Eli stood as she entered. "You came again," he smiled. "You are being moved," she said flatly. "It may be dangerous," he looked at her quietly. "Are you warning me? Or saying goodbye?" Zara didn't answer. Eli stepped closer to the barrier. "I don't think you're weak," he said. "I think you're waking up." "Waking up?" she asked. "Yes," he said. "You've lived without love your whole life. Now your heart is waking up, and you don't know what to do." Zara's chest ached. His words felt like fire and water all at once. He was right, and she hated it. That night, she sat by her bed, helmet in her lap, and stared at the floor. She was supposed to be strong, cold, unshakable. But now, she felt fear, not of war, not of death, but of feeling something she didn't understand. Was she still a warrior, or was she becoming human? She closed her eyes, and for the first time in her life, she wished her heart would stop hurting. Zara stood outside the cell again. She had told herself she wouldn't come tonight. She had promised herself this would end. The human was a prisoner, a danger, a weakness, and yet, here she was. She tapped the security panel. The cold blue light flashed and the door opened. Inside, Eli sat on the floor cross-legged, humming softly to himself. His face was tired, but when he saw her, it lit up with that same quiet smile. "You came," he said. Zara stepped inside and crossed her arms. "You talk too much," Eli shrugged. "Maybe, or maybe you listen too much." She looked away. "Why do you keep doing this?" "Doing what?" "Looking at me like that. Talking like we are equals." Eli tilted his head. "Because I think we are." Zara scoffed. "You are a prisoner. I am your guard. Maybe, but still." He paused, then said gently, "You're the only person here who treats me like I'm human." Zara felt a strange ache in her chest again. She hated it, but she didn't leave. They sat in silence for a while. Zara didn't understand it. Why did she sit here? Why not walk away? Then Eli spoke softly. "Can I ask you something personal?" Zara turned slowly. "What?" "It's something important." She didn't respond, but she didn't stop him either. Eli looked at her, really looked at her, not like a soldier, not like an alien, but like a person. "Have you ever been loved?" Zara blinked. The room felt colder. The question hung in the air like a slow, sharp knife. "What?" she whispered. Eli didn't look away. "Loved, not trained. Not ordered, not controlled, just loved." Zara froze. Her heart beat faster, like it was trying to run from her chest. Loved? She searched her memories, metal floors, cold showers, shouting voices, pain, blood, victory, but never warmth. Never hugs, never anyone saying, "I care about you." She didn't know what love felt like. She had never had it, and somehow, that hurt worse than any battle wound. "I don't know what that means," she finally said. Eli nodded slowly. "I thought so. Is that what humans do?" she asked, voice low. We try, he said. Sometimes we fail. But when it's real, it changes everything. Zara stared at her hands. These hands had broken bones, held weapons, crushed enemies, but they had never been held by someone who loved her. She suddenly felt ashamed, not of weakness, but of never knowing what strength really meant. You don't have to answer, Eli said. I'm sorry if it hurt. It didn't hurt, she lied, but her chest felt like it was on fire. She stood to leave. Zara. Eli called gently. She stopped. I hope one day someone loves you the way you deserve, he said. She didn't turn around. She just walked out. But the hallway blurred. She didn't understand why until she realized her eyes were wet. Tears. Her body didn't know how to cry. But her soul was learning. Back in her room, Zara stared at the ceiling. All night, her heart kept whispering that question. Have you ever been loved? The answer haunted her, but it also lit a small hidden place inside her. A place that had been asleep. Maybe forever. The next morning, she received new orders. Prisoner Eli will be sent to the torture wing for questioning. He may not return, the commander said coldly. Zara's blood ran. Cold no. Something inside her screamed. She bowed her head and left the command room. But her mind was racing. She had to do something. Anything. She looked down at her shaking hands. They had never held love. But maybe they could protect it. Zara stood in front of the command hall, her armor shining like dark glass. Her face was cold, but her heart felt heavy. Inside, the Supreme Commander spoke in a harsh voice. The human refuses to talk. He hides secrets about Earth's defense. You will make him speak. Zara's body stiffened. Yes, Commander. The words came out easily, but inside her chest something twisted in pain. Eli. The human who smiled. The human who said she was beautiful. The human who asked, have you ever been loved? She clenched her fists. She was a soldier. A warrior. She obeyed, but for the first time she didn't want to. An hour later, the door to the torture chamber opened. Eli was tied to a steel chair. His face was pale but calm. When he saw her, he smiled again. Zara, he said softly. I knew they'd send you. Her throat tightened. Don't talk, he smiled faintly. You don't want to be here. Zara didn't answer. She picked up the electric shock stick from the table. Its blue light flickered. Tell them what they want to know, she said quietly. Please, Eli shook his head. If I talk, people will die, my people. I can't, Zara's hand trembled. Then they'll kill you. He looked at her, eyes steady and kind. I'm not afraid of death. Foolish, she whispered. Humans fear everything. He smiled sadly. Not love. Her heart skipped again, that word, that feeling. The commander's voice came through the speaker on the wall. Begin, warrior Zara. Make the human speak. Zara closed her eyes. She lifted the shock stick and walked toward Eli. Her hand shook so much she could barely hold it. He didn't move. He didn't scream. He just looked at her, calm, understanding, and strangely peaceful. Do it, the commander ordered again. Now. Zara raised the stick, but the sound that came next wasn't a scream. It was the sound of metal hitting the floor. She had dropped the weapon. Eli blinked. You didn't... Be silent, she said quickly. Her voice cracked. The intercom shouted again. What is happening, Zara? Finish your task. She looked at the camera on the wall, her golden eyes burning. I will not, she said. There was silence on the line, then a furious roar. Traitor! Guards rushed toward the chamber. Zara acted fast. She grabbed the weapon again, but this time she used it to break Eli's chains. He stumbled forward, confused. Zara, what are you? No time, she hissed. Move! The door burst open. 2 alien guards entered. Zara spun and hit one in the chest, sending him flying. The other raised his gun, but she kicked him before he fired. Eli stared, shocked. You're helping me? I don't know what I'm doing, she said breathlessly. Just move. They ran through dark metal corridors. Alarms started screaming. Red lights flashed everywhere. Zara, Eli shouted over the noise. They'll kill you. I know, she said. Then why help me? She didn't answer. She didn't know the answer herself. Maybe because his words had broken something inside her. Maybe because she wanted to know what love really was, or maybe because for once in her life she wanted to choose something, not just obey. They reached a locked door. Zara slammed her hand against the scanner. It beeped and opened. Inside was a dark storage room filled with weapons and armor. Eli leaned against the wall, breathing hard. "You're bleeding," he said. She looked down. There was a cut across her arm. She didn't even feel it. "It's nothing." He stepped closer, gently tearing a piece of his shirt to wrap her wound. She stared at him in silence. No one had ever done something like that for her. "You shouldn't have done that," she whispered. He smiled softly. "You said the same thing when I called you beautiful." Her heart hurt again, but this time, it didn't feel like pain, it felt like truth. The alarm voice echoed again through the ship. "Warrior Zara is a traitor. Arrest on sight." Eli looked at her. "We can still escape." Zara nodded slowly. "We will." But deep inside she knew the truth. There was no way back now. She had crossed the line between duty and heart. For the first time in her life, she wasn't just a warrior. She was someone who cared, and caring in her world was the most dangerous crime of all. Zara stood in the shadows of the storage room, her breathing sharp and fast. Outside, the alarm still screamed. Red lights flashed across the walls like angry eyes. Eli leaned against a crate, holding his ribs. He had bruises across his body, but his voice was calm. "They're not going to stop hunting us, are they?" "No," Zara said quietly. "They won't." She stared at the door. Her mind was racing. She had never broken a rule in her life, never disobeyed a single order, and now she had done the unthinkable. She had turned against her own people, for a human. The comm panel on the wall buzzed. A message played, cold and sharp. "Warrior Zara, report immediately. You have broken the law. You helped the enemy. You are no longer one of us." Zara turned away from the voice. Her face was still, but her heart was storming inside. "You should leave me," Eli said. "You can still fix this. Say I tricked you. They might believe it." Zara walked up to him and looked straight into his eyes. "I made a choice." "Why?" She paused. Her voice was low. "Because no one ever chose me. No one ever saved me. But when I looked at you, I saw something more than war. I saw peace. They didn't have much time. Security bots were searching the lower decks. Soldiers were coming from every direction." Zara opened a hidden floor panel and pulled out 2 suits, one alien warrior armor and one long, dark cloak. "Put this on," she told Eli. "Stay close. Don't speak unless I say." Eli obeyed. He trusted her now completely. As they moved through the halls, Zara's mind remembered everything she was leaving behind. Her rank, her name, her world. But she didn't feel regret. She felt free. They reached a locked gate near the ship's engine bay. On the other side was the emergency hangar, a place where small escape pods were kept. But a squad of alien guards stood in the way. Eli whispered, "We'll never get past them." Zara scanned the wall. "There's another way." She climbed into a maintenance shaft and pulled Eli up behind her. The tunnel was narrow, full of steam and heat, but they crawled through in silence. When they reached the other side, they looked down through a vent. The hangar was below. A small escape pod sat waiting, its lights blinking. One ship, one chance, but 2 more guards stood near it. Zara looked at Eli. "Can you run?" He nodded. "Good, when I say now." "We run together." Suddenly her earpiece buzzed. It was a private channel, a voice she knew well. "Zara," her commander said, "turn around. Bring the human back. You can still live. You don't have to die for him." Zara stared ahead. "I already died," she said softly. "The moment I believed you cared about me." She crushed the earpiece in her hand. "Now." She shouted. They dropped from the vent, landed hard, and sprinted. One guard raised a blaster, but Zara knocked him down before he fired. The second one grabbed Eli, but Zara roared, lifted him off the ground and threw him across the floor. The sirens blared louder. More soldiers were coming. Zara pushed Eli into the pod and slammed the door behind them. She took the controls. The pod's engine started. "Go, go," Eli shouted. They blasted out of the hangar just as lasers hit the walls behind them. The stars opened in front of them, cold, wide, and endless. Zara stared ahead, breathing hard. She had done it. They were free. Inside the pod, it was quiet now. Eli sat beside her. He looked at her with something soft in his eyes. Not pity, not fear. Something else, you gave up everything, he said. Zara nodded. Yes? He reached out and touched her hand. Why me? Zara turned to him. Her voice was barely a whisper. Because when you looked at me, I didn't feel like a weapon. I felt like a person, Eli smiled. You are. And for the first time since she was a child, Zara smiled back. Not the fake smile she had learned during training, a real one, full of warmth, pain, hope, and something new, something close to love. The escape pod shook as it cut through the stars, engines humming like a quiet song. Inside, Eli sat with his back against the wall, watching Zara work the controls. She had taken them far away from the warship, but not far enough. We're being followed, she said. Eli frowned. How many ships? 2 fast ones. We need to land before they catch us. Zara opened a map on the glowing screen. A nearby planet blinked red. Uncharted, she whispered. Not safe. Not mapped, but it's our only choice, Eli leaned forward. Do it. Zara hesitated just 1 second, then pressed the button. The pod tilted sharply and began falling toward the strange world. The entry was rough. Fire rolled across the windows. Alarms beeped. The pod spun, hit something, and bounced. Zara wrapped her arm around Eli. Hold on. The pod crashed through trees, slammed into the dirt, and finally stopped with a loud thud. Smoke filled the air. Sparks flew. Zara stood up quickly, checking systems. Eli groaned. Still alive. You're lucky, she said. He smiled. No, I'm with you. That's more than luck. Zara looked at him, but before she could speak, her legs gave out. She fell. Eli rushed to her side. Zara. Blood. Her side was bleeding. A metal shard had sliced through her armor. She hadn't even noticed. Don't move, he said, voice shaking. I'm fine, she muttered. No, you're not, he said. You saved me. Now let me save you. He pulled open the pod's medkit and began patching her wound, using every soft touch he could manage with shaking hands. Zara stared at him, his face full of care, his fingers gentle. His words kind. This was love. Outside, the planet was quiet. A silver moon rose in the sky. Strange purple trees danced in the wind. Small glowing creatures floated through the night air. It was a peaceful place, but danger still followed them. Zara sat under a tree, breathing slowly. Eli stayed close beside her. You should sleep, she said. I'm not leaving you alone, he replied. Zara looked up at the stars above. For the first time in her life, they didn't feel cold. They felt full of hope. She turned to him. Her voice soft. Why do you care so much? Eli smiled. Because you cared first, she frowned. I broke everything I was trained to be. I betrayed my people. For what? For freedom. For your own heart. Zara looked down at her hands. These were not just warrior hands anymore. They had held pain. Now they were holding something warm. You said once, I was beautiful, she whispered. I meant it, Eli said. I've never believed it. Until now. They sat in silence for a long moment. Then Eli whispered, I was afraid I'd lose you. Zara looked at him. Her heart did something strange again. It beat in a way it never had. Not for war, not for orders. For him. She reached out and touched his hand. His eyes widened, her voice trembled. I don't know what love is, but I think it feels like this. Eli squeezed her hand gently. Then we'll learn it together. Suddenly, a sound broke the peace. A low rumble. Zara stood quickly, her body still weak but her senses sharp. A scout ship had landed in the distance. It wasn't theirs. Her people had found them. We have to move, she said. Eli helped her stand. Can you walk? I'll crawl if I have to, she said, her warrior side returning, but now mixed with something more, a reason to survive. They moved deeper into the forest. Every step was painful, but Zara kept going, not for orders, not for duty, for him. As they ran through the glowing trees, she whispered something she had never said in her life, not to anyone. Eli. He looked at her. She stopped even as the enemy ship circled above. If I die, I want you to know. You woke up my heart, and for the first time, it beat not for survival but for love. The forest was quiet again. Purple leaves danced in the wind. Glowing birds floated between trees like soft lanterns in the dark. The danger had passed for now. Zara lay under a large silver tree, her back resting against its trunk. Her wound had been cleaned again and she was breathing easier. Beside her, Eli was building a fire with pieces of metal and dry bark. His hands were steady. His eyes stayed on her like she might disappear if he looked away for even a second. "You should rest," Zara said quietly. Eli shook his head. "I will after you smile," she blinked. "What?" "You've been through war, pain, betrayal, and love, but I've never seen you smile." "Not once." Zara looked away, uncomfortable. "Warriors don't smile." "Maybe not," Eli said. "But humans do. And you're more human than anyone I've ever met." The fire crackled softly between them. Warmth filled the space. But Zara's heart still carried weight. She stared at the flames, her voice low. "All my life I followed orders. I was told what to be, what not to feel. I thought that was strength." She turned to Eli. "But when you looked at me, when you said I was beautiful, I didn't feel strong. I felt seen. And that scared me more than any enemy ever has." Eli moved closer. "You were never weak, Zara. You were just waiting to feel something real." A soft sound in the distance made her sit up. She reached for her weapon, but Eli placed a hand gently on her arm. "It's only wind." She relaxed slowly, her shoulders finally lowering. Zara looked around at the trees. This strange world was nothing like the cold metal warship she came from. There were no orders here, no ranks, no shouting commanders, only freedom, and one human who made her heart do things it had never done before. "Zara," Eli said. She looked at him. "Do you regret saving me?" She didn't answer right away. She thought about everything she had lost, her title, her home, her future as a soldier. Then she thought about what she had gained, a voice that called her kind, a touch that didn't hurt, a heart that finally beat for something more than survival. "No," she said. "You didn't ruin me. You rewrote me." A small silence grew between them. But it wasn't heavy, it was warm. Zara reached out and touched his hand again. Her fingers brushed his like a whisper. "I still don't know what love is," she said. Eli looked into her eyes. "Love is what makes you protect someone even when you're scared. It's what makes you choose them, even when the world says no." Zara swallowed hard. "I chose you," she whispered. "And I chose you," Eli said. Suddenly, a shooting star crossed the night sky, a streak of gold across the purple-black clouds. Eli pointed up. "That's Earth's tradition. When we see a star fall, we make a wish." "What did you wish for?" she asked. "I didn't," he said. "I already got what I wanted." Zara looked at him. His eyes were gentle, his smile soft. Something inside her chest warmed, then lifted, and finally, her lips moved. Just slightly, just enough. But it was real. Zara smiled. Her smile was quiet, unsure, but honest. Eli froze. "That's it," he whispered. "That's your first smile." She looked down as if embarrassed. "It feels strange. It looks beautiful." Her eyes lifted. "You really think so?" "I know so." They stayed close, her head resting on his shoulder, the fire glowing beside them. In the distance, the stars watched silently. Two souls, once from different worlds, now belonged to the same one, together. Zara, the warrior once trained to never feel, now knew what it meant to be alive. Not for orders, not for glory, but for love. And in that quiet forest under a new sky, her heart beat fully, and her smile never left.